In the very much still alive fandom for the Smokey and the Bandit movies, the movies rank as follows. The first one is a near masterpiece, a perfect snapshot of Americana's roadways and the rebel spirit. Us Southerners identify it more as a documentary as we do a movie. Then the second. While the stunts were bigger and it was more character-driven, it suffered from an overuse of slapstick and clunky dialogue, though it is still highly loved. Smokey and the Bandit 3. Fans will acknowledge its existence, but do not speak of it.
The second rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about
Smokey and the Bandit 3! And for good reason, as the slapstick was turned up to 11, the editing and writing really took a tumble, amongst other reasons. The less that's said about Smokey and the Bandit 3, probably the better. However, there are more Bandit movies that were a legacy spin-off from original film director Hal Needham that fans neither acknowledge nor speak of. However, maybe they should, because there's a lot of fun, good stuff in there to enjoy. So today, let's find out if this series of made-for-TV movies is as bad as the fandom says. In 1993, the original Smokey and the Bandit creator wasn't quite ready to let go of his favorite character that he had created, a fast-driving, slick-talking Southern man with a heart of gold. Hal Needham decided it was time to reimagine his character, the Bandit, for the modern times of, 1994. Partnering back up with Universal, Needham struck a deal to create 4 Bandit-themed movies for the Universal Television's action-packed programming block. Say that 5 times real quick. This block of television usually would air on the old USA Network, and all of the made-for-TV movies were essentially pilots hoping to get picked up for an entire season of a television show. While shows like Tech War and Xena Warrior Princess were picked up, the block also gave us such stinkers as Knight Rider 2010 and at least one of these Bandit movies. I honestly don't think the first one, Bandit Goes Country, is a stinker, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. This is actually Hal Needham kinda going back to his roots, revolving the story around small-town romances and traditions, competently filmed car chases, not to mention a cameo from Neil Bonnet before his tragic death at Daytona in February of 1994. Now, of course, this isn't all puppies and rosebuds. Let's keep this real. This is an absolute, on-the-budget, made-for-TV movie from 1994. Let's just say it has its flaws. Like all the Brock Yates and Hal Needham movies, car crashes and bungling police are played more for forced laughs than any kind of sense of high-stakes action. Much like the Cannonball Run movies or 1989 Speed Zone. For the new Bandit, Brian Bloom took up the mantle. By far, Bloom is acting circles around anybody else that was cast for these movies. While he hasn't had but one major role, being the bad guy in the 2010 A-Team movie, his body of work in film, TV, and voice acting is longer than my arm, including prolific writing and voice acting in the famous Call of Duty games.
Hero's duty?
It's not that kind of duty.
To be honest, I'm kinda mad that we didn't get this guy in some bigger roles because he's a damn good actor. His portrayal of Bandit borrows the charm of Burt Reynolds without being drunk on a little bit of fame and a lot of Coors beer.
I thought you were in a big hurry.
But never is too much of a hurry to help someone in need.
Yes, this version is more like Dudley Do-Right than Bandit, and yet is still a super likable character. The part of Lynn, Bandit's partner in, not crime, is played by actor Brian Krause. Wow, there's a lot of Brians around here. Most famous for his role in Charmed as Leo Wyatt. Krause is unfortunately not given a whole lot to do in any of these movies other than to react to Bandit situations like the hell yeah brother guy. Now, this first movie is the beginning of the revolving door for supporting role actors to pass through and then promptly forget. Tyler Mane, best known for his portrayal as Sabretooth in both the first X-Men movie and the latest Deadpool and Wolverine, plays Big Sky. Elizabeth Berkley, best known for resisting a Showgirls reference, let's just say, Saved by the Bell alumni. Who, delivers the most atrocious acting in all of these movies. Now, of course, there is one more casting, and wow, they couldn't have gotten it more wrong. While the new car was never named Trigger, like all the old Trans Ams, instead of featuring the newly redesigned 4th generation Trans Am, for some reason they opted to go with a 1993 Dodge Stealth.
What? What the fuck?
Now, the Dodge Stealth was a capable car of the day, but the 93 Trans Am was also faster and had more power than the Dodge Stealth. Not to mention that, one of America's folk heroes driving a car that actually underneath is a Japanese Mitsubishi 3000, that probably didn't go over very well with fans. Had they gone with the Trans Am, would this series be more fondly remembered? The only reason I could find why they went with the Dodge Stealth instead of the Trans Am was because Pontiac actually had a change of leadership, and Burt Reynolds' free Trans Ams for life stopped around this time, so it probably had something to do with it. The premise for all 4 movies is just kinda silly, though that's to be expected from the mind of Needham. If you're mad this isn't a gritty, realistically shot car chase movie, you haven't paid much attention to the Hal Needham movies of the past. Something that always annoyed me about the Needham movies, and movies in general, was the use of the sped up film effect to make cars look like they're going faster than they really were. For the most part, I can honestly say that is annoyance that is left in the past in these movies. Now, if you're like me and love rad-era cars, these flicks are a great showcase of what was on the road in the early 90s. Yes, there's a lot of Chrysler product placement, but for the most part, it's just random rad-era goodness. Brian Bloom's Bandit was never meant to replace Burt Reynolds' Bandit. It is never implied, nor does it even feel that way while watching the Bandit series movies. It's simply a reimagining of the character for a modern and sanitized TV audience. Honestly, I can think of much worse car movies to dedicate 90 minutes of your time to. One of them being Smokey and the Bandit 3. There is both some atrocious acting, and then some acting that will just make you love their characters. There are some pacing issues with some shots that just go on way too long, and I think that's just a product of being made for TV. If you're a fan of the Needham movies or car movies in general, you know it's really the cars that are the stars, and you already know what to expect while consuming this type of media. So, are they as bad as fans say? After watching the first one, I can safely say that, they're not going to go on my list for greatest car chase movies of all time. However, it was just a lot of stupid fun to be immersed in Hal Needham's quirky, car-centric little world again, and that's enough for me to recommend them. Do you remember this series of TV movies? I didn't for the longest time. I always thought that it was a TV series, not a TV series of movies, so I had a hard time finding information on it until I found out that they were actual television movies. The only way to experience watching these is to pick up the Outlaw Pack of Smokey and the Bandit DVDs. I acquired mine on eBay. Did you like today's video? Give it a like and subscribe for more in between, whatever, car media. I have a ton of it on the channel here. Don't forget to check down below for links to Cruizers social media and the channel merch if you want to support what I'm doing here. I thank you for watching, my friends, and remember, those friends They're the family you get to choose. I'll see you next time, fellow cruisers.